Perhaps you're thinking about joining the United States Army. Well, if so, well, stick around because in this video I'm going to be talking about some things that maybe you should know before you sign on that dotted line. What's up, my friends? Welcome to an all-new video. I'm U.S. Army veteran ThatChrisChaos, and in today's episode, we are talking about some things that you should probably know about before you join the Army. Not to like discourage you or anything like that, but just things that you should just be aware of, so there's no surprises, I guess. Now, this video is sponsored by the Ridge Wallet. The Ridge Wallet is light, sleek, and very modern looking. It doesn't fold or create any kind of uncomfortable bulge in your back pocket, and you could stick this guy comfortably in your front pocket if you wish. It can hold up to 12 cards, and it's also got room for some cash with either a money clip or a band in the back. There are over 30 colors to choose from to include carbon fiber and burnt titanium. I am currently rocking this awesome camouflage version. Now, if you're rough on wallets, don't worry about it. It's made out of a pretty durable material that also includes RFID blocking technology, and it also has a lifetime warranty. You could simply just buy one Ridge wallet and be good for the rest of your life. Now, the people over at Ridge are so sure that you will enjoy this wallet that they will allow you to test drive it for 45 days. If you don't love it, you can return it and get your full money back. You can get free worldwide shipping even on returns when you visit ridge.com/chaosarmy. Also, if you use the promo code chaosarmy at checkout, you can get 10% off. Now, make sure you visit the link down in the description box down below so that you can get rid of that old school wallet, get you something nice and sleek and modern looking, get yourself a Ridge wallet. Now let's dive into the content of this video, and let's start with the first thing that you should probably know before you join the Army, and that is you don't always get to just do your MOS. Especially like certain MOSs, right? You might be looking to join as an 11 Bravo, and you're gonna be doing infantry stuff, and you're like, oh cool, I'm gonna get to assault the enemy, kick in some doors, do some badass stuff with weapons and everything like that. I mean, the badass stuff with weapons, you get to do that a lot often anyways, but not always like assaulting the enemy or going on these raids or anything like that. That usually only comes when you're deployed. If you're not deployed, you're with a unit that is currently just in garrison or whatever, it's usually just a lot of training, a lot of extra little detail tasks of maybe cleanup or certain other things that they just need people to do. And that's the case with a lot of other MOSs too. There are some MOSs that you really only get to do your job when you're deployed. And if you're not deployed, then it's just a lot of training to be able to do that job. And then, you can't just spend the entire time training. So then sometimes it's just these other mundane tasks that you have to do, or these other taskings on the base to go and help out other people to do different things. There are some jobs where yes, you will get to, focus mainly on your job, and you're doing your job like 98% of the time, 99% of the time, something like that. But there are also some jobs that don't include you doing your job all the time. 11 Bravo, scouts, sometimes tankers, certain things, certain MOSs that really have more of a job on a deployment and not really much of a job when you're not on a deployment. So keep that in mind, depending on your MOS that you're after, that you're looking for. Is it a job that, is really just mainly for a combat type of situation, or does it have some kind of practical application in garrison in the United States or just not on a deployment? Some people go into the Army thinking that, hey, I signed a 4-year contract, I do it 4 years, I get out and I just live my life and be free again. Regardless of what your contract is, you still have an 8-year commitment. So let's say in that case, you do a 4-year contract. Well, then that means the other 4 years have to be done in what is called the Inactive Reserves. Now, typically is what that means is that yes, you're going back to being a civilian, you don't have to shave anymore, you can grow your hair out if you want or whatever the case is, but there's the possibility that you could get called back. If they really need people for something of your MOS, then you might get called back to active duty, to have to go do that deployment or whatever the case might be. Now, if that doesn't happen and you don't get called back for a deployment, well then maybe like once or twice during those 4 years, you might end up with something like you have to go to a formation somewhere nearby, depending on where you live. If you live somewhere too far away from like any reserve unit or active duty unit or anything like that, you might have to do anything, it might just be online kind of a thing. But sometimes if you live somewhere nearby, Army installation, then they might want you to come in just to do maybe like a 30-minute class, maybe a 1-hour class, and then done for the day, and that's calling it good. There are also some people that just don't do anything. I've heard kind of a little bit of both. I've heard of some people where they were on inactive reserves and nobody ever called them, nothing ever happened, and they just continued on with their life. But then I've also heard, other people where they're like, no, I got called in to have to go and show up to this formation and listen to this like briefing for like 30 minutes or whatever, and then they let us go, or I had to do this online class and then submit it that I did this online class and some different things like that. So just be aware, even if you do a 3-year contract, 4-year contract, 6-year contract, in total, you're still committed for 8 years. If you do more than 8 years, then obviously you're free to go, right? If you did like an 8-year contract, you did a 10-year contract, 20-year contract, whatever the case is, then no, you don't have any kind of commitment to the Army anymore. But if you did less than 8, then you have up to whatever is left over to make that full 8-year commitment of possibly doing something, possibly doing nothing, but still committed for 8 years. This next one may be really given for some people, but I've also heard it from other people where they just didn't realize it, but you can't quit. That goes for being in the Army as well as your MOS, because a lot of people may know that, yes, I can't quit the Army, but some people go into the understanding of, if I don't like my MOS, I can just quit that MOS and switch over to another MOS. So kind of on both aspects, right? If you go into the Army, it's not working out for you, you gotta, just ride out the rest of that contract before you can technically quit, kind of a thing. Because if you're only 1 year, 2 years deep into a 4-year contract, well, you gotta ride out the rest of those 2 years or whatever the case is left in your contract, and then you can just ETS or get out of the Army and separate. That also goes for your MOS. So if you get into an MOS and you thought that job was gonna be something else, and then it turns out to be, way harder than you thought it was gonna be, not as interesting as you thought it was gonna be, whatever, you can't just be like, hey, I wanna switch this up and I'll still stay in the Army, but I wanna switch to this other MOS. So that doesn't really work, right? You can re-enlist to switch to another MOS, and that just means you stay in the Army longer, and then you go to AIT again for that MOS. If you qualify for it and they're taking people, then you can do that. The only other way that you can sometimes kind of quit your MOS to switch to another MOS is if the MOS that you're currently in was overstrengthed and they need to get people out of that MOS to send them somewhere else. Then you can kind of like volunteer to ditch that MOS to go for another MOS. But that's pretty uncommon. That doesn't happen too often. Sometimes it happens, but not that often. A big thing to also be aware of is that messing up in the Army has way bigger kind of consequences to it than messing up on the civilian side. Let me give you an example, right? You're working at whatever civilian job and you go and you talk back to your supervisor, right? Well, supervisor's probably gonna be mad, maybe write you up or whatever like that, and that's probably about it, right? You probably get too many write-ups and yeah, they might fire you or something like that. But you're probably just gonna get some write-ups. Maybe they decide to take action and fire you, maybe. Just kind of depends, I guess, on the employer, right? Let's say you do that on the Army side. Well, on the Army side, yeah, you're gonna get written up for it, but you could also potentially get what's called an Article 15. That Article 15 could go to different levels, right? You could be something as simple as just, you have to work some extra hours to basically do what's called extra duty. Maybe you lose some rank, maybe you get basically like a fine, which is kind of a forfeiture of pay, it's called. So it can really vary. So let's say, for an example, you talked back to one of your NCOs, your commander, whatever the case was, they gave you an Article 15 and you lost rank a little bit and you had some extra duty you have to do and all that kind of stuff. Well, that happens on the civilian side, you could just say, screw it, I quit, right? And go find another job maybe that pays just the same or whatever that you were making, whatever the case is, not have to deal with that, lower pay. Can't do that in the Army, so you're just gonna be stuck having to ride it out and make less money now and ride out this extra duty you have to do and all that stuff. So there can be a lot of scenarios, right, of you messing up on the military side that can cause you to lose rank, lose pay, maybe even land you in jail in some cases, that on the civilian side might get you written up, might get you fired, but you can go find another job, where in the Army you're just kind of stuck and have to ride it out now. And then one last one that I want to talk about, it mainly applies more to foreigners, because there's some people that, send me messages or ask me questions, maybe from another country and they want to join the United States Army or even the military for that case. And they have the misconception that join the military and boom, guaranteed US citizenship. That is not the case. So if you're someone who's from outside the country, you want to join the United States Army so that you can hopefully get US citizenship and live in the United States forever, or whatever the case is, well, you're not guaranteed US citizenship. It is, however, a little bit faster than it is like normally, right? If you just came to the United States without joining the military, you have this lengthy process to go through to get US citizenship. Well, you still have that same process you still have to go through when you're in the Army, in the military in general. It just tends to get pushed a little bit faster than it does on the civilian side. So don't think just simply joining the military, joining the Army, you're just guaranteed a US citizenship. Now, those are just 5 that I wanted to mention. There's other things you probably need to know about before you join the Army and all that kind of stuff, and we can make it, a big 2-hour long video probably, or something kind of crazy, but those are just 5 that I kind of wanted to highlight here. If you have some questions about some other things maybe you've heard about, whatever the case might be, drop some comments down below in the comment section down below, and I'll try to answer what I can. Some of my veteran viewers or even people that are currently in the military may be able to help you out and answer your questions, so leave me some comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, maybe think about sharing the video. Also, be sure to hit that thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Check out the links down in the description for social media, including ridge.com/chaosarmy to pick yourself up. What is that? This awesome, or any color, awesome Ridge wallet. You're awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time.